now that the Woman King has come out and Black Panther 2 is about to come out, let's talk about why did slavery occur? Fam, peace and blessings. This is Derric Moore. And now that the Woman King has come out, now that, now that, let's see, Wakanda Forever is about to come out, all right? They might even push Wakanda Forever back now because of all this backlash that they're getting over the Woman King. But now that the Woman King and all this stuff is coming out, now we're starting to see the truth, okay? The true history is starting to resurface. And the true significance is also starting to come up as well. Now, before we begin, let me go ahead and say this. It's not like the history wasn't out there, okay? It's not like the truth wasn't out there. Nobody was hiding the truth about the Dahomey people. Nobody is hiding the truth about any of these, the surviving African nations that continue to exist in West Africa, and their influence, their involvement in the slave trade. No one's hiding that, okay? The reason why most of us don't know about it is because Africa's been romanticized, okay? That's the reason why we don't hear about it, all right? And what do I mean? What do I mean by that? Well, excuse me. What basically occurred was, we went ahead and, as most of y'all know, I was born in the 70s. The great thing about being born in that period was that this was the time when it's right after the Civil Rights Movement, okay? Right after folks started going ahead and, okay, I need some civil liberties. Folks started realizing this, okay? Which transitioned into the cultural movement. This is when people went ahead, okay, I'm proud of the kinkiness of my hair. I'm proud of my complexion. I'm identifying with being an African, and we have this uniqueness, okay? It was all superficial, but it was necessary, okay? So right after the cultural movement, what also took place within the 70s was you get to see the death of disco, okay? Because disco music was popular, but in the two groups who really listened to disco music, everybody listened to it because it was the popular music of the time. But the people who really, really listened to it the most were Black people and the LGBTQ community. All right. After these, I don't want to put a finger and say what group went ahead and led this campaign to say the death of disco. But these people, they went ahead and they led this campaign. They did the death of disco, which basically ended up basically spinning off into house music in Chicago, techno in Detroit, hip hop in New York. Okay. Let's see what else took place during the 70s. Also during the 70s, because of the death of disco and because of those influences in those three main groups, those three main, like I said, music genres that occurred, this is when you also start seeing the degrading of the neighborhoods and everything else, because now they're flooding with crack, being flooded with cocaine and the whole crack thing. The whole crack cocaine thing, and then that's it, okay? So everything that exists today, it can all be traced back to me, from my understanding, based upon my experience and what I've seen, all be traced back to late 60s, early 70s. That's the era that went ahead and caused all this, okay? I don't want to say it caused it, but that's where it started. Okay, so we're talking about a good 50-year plan that's been enacted, and here we are again. Nothing new up under the sun, but here we are again. Okay, talking about this same thing. All right, having this same the same cultural movement thing that's going on. And I wanted to go in here, and I thought it was pretty unique. You know, the ancestral wisdom, the ancestral power, because if you remember folks went ahead when Black Panther came out. Folks put on their dashiki. They went to the store, got them some African garb, and put their garb on. Okay, so they can go watch the Black Panther, which everybody kept spinning. Oh, it gives them cultural pride to go see a fictional movie about a fictional king who is, basically governed by his mama and his sister, okay, and all the other women, okay, the women warriors. Don't get it twisted. I don't have nothing against this, okay? Look at the last video. Look at my last video. We talk about the true Kemetic, what true royalty looks like, okay, versus this stuff that they're going ahead and they're pushing, okay? So go back, look at it, all right? But I find it interesting that they're going ahead, and this is what I find interesting about this. The ancestors went ahead and they allowed people to go ahead and do all this. They encourage people, hey, yo, go wear your dashiki, go wear this, go buy all this cultural stuff, so that they can go ahead and they can drop it when the Woman King comes out. And they can drop that bomb, and they dropped it hard, because there are some people who are like totally just in awe, in total shock, that here it is, that they will put out a movie that's supposed to show the glory and show that all these Africans who was supposedly fighting against slavery, when come to find out they were actually involved in it. Okay, I find it just wow. I'm like, the ancestors, I'm like, wow, that's how they do it. That is how the ancestors do it. Okay, they give you the truth in raw form. They like, if you don't want the truth, if you don't want to be spoon fed the truth, then we gonna go ahead, we gonna give you the truth this way. We gonna just drop that lion in your lap and say, hey, deal with it now, okay? And that's really what the ancestors did. I'm amazed by it, because all the controversy and everything that's coming out. Folks in an uproar. They are in an uproar, okay? And the reason why, again, part of the reason why this occurred is, and this is bringing back to the 70s, is because people were influenced by that cultural movement. And the thing about the cultural movement, it was, I'm black, I'm proud. I'm proud to be black. Proud to be, proud to be a descendant of Africa. It was worth it. It was needed. It was a necessary movement, but it had no substance. There was no focus on content. It was all focused on superficiality. It was all focused on, let me feel good. That's all it was focused on, okay? And that's the reason why when people came to the Black Panther and they went ahead, they wanted to wear their garb and stuff, wanted to wear dashikis, that was the same thing. They were all focused on how I feel. I want to feel good. I want to feel good. Cultural pride. I want to feel this. And this is because folks were still, they romanticized about Africa, okay? Now, like I said, now that the truth is coming out, or now that people are becoming aware of the truth, and they start to see the involvement of all these different African nations, these surviving African nations that continue to exist in West Africa, or throughout, they're starting to see all these, all these Africans or all these African nations who participated in the slave trade. Okay. Now, but before we go there, don't get it twisted. Okay, because I'm also listening to another part of this narrative. Another thing that they're trying to do is go ahead and make it seem like, oh, it's just their fault. Okay, they're trying to say, oh, okay, well, yeah, it was just these Africans' fault. It was these African nations who went ahead and did this. No, 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 no. Don't let them off the hook like that. Do not excuse the Europeans and the Arabs' involvement in this. Okay? Don't do it. Okay? Because that's where they're trying to go with it. They're trying to go with that so that they can go ahead and they can continue to put that division in there and make it that division between black people and African people. You know, they're trying to put that division in there so that the Europeans and the Arabs can go ahead and they can take over and do whatever they got to do. Don't let them do that. Okay? All right? Don't take them off the hook. They still on the hook. All right? Put them right back on the hook along with everybody else. Okay? Now, the whole reason why, like I said, I wanted to bring this up and everything, and now let's discuss, why did slavery happen? Okay? Why did slavery happen? All right? Because whenever you watch any of these movies that talk about slavery and how they went and got these people from Africa and all this other kind of stuff, you never see them actually display or portray real African culture. Okay? All they want to display is these people who went in here and they captured these people and sold them to the Europeans or the Arabs, and that's it. Okay? This is the reason why the movie Quilombo is such a great movie. Because out of all the movies that I've seen that talks about slavery, all the movies that talks about slave rebellions, all the movies that talks about African culture, okay, this is the only movie that I have seen where they actually show people of African descent practicing a traditional African culture. All right? Now, so why did slavery happen? Why did it occur? Okay? Since they won't focus on it, since they won't talk about it in the Woman King, they won't talk about it anywhere. Why did slavery occur? Well, those of us who go in here and we follow this Kemetic Congo path, y'all know, okay? We know why it occurred, all right? We just waiting for other people to go in here and kind of realize it themselves, all right? But the reason why we know, those of us who follow the Kemetic Congo path, because something, and I'm saying, and understand, I'm not trying to go in here and make a distinction. I'm talking to these people, I'm talking to the family who's had this same kind of awakening within them, just like I have had, okay? We know that what happened in slavery, we know that the Congo king converted to Christianity. We know ain't no European went over there and forced people into Christianity. We know that didn't happen, okay? Those of us who follow the Congo path, those of us who follow this Kemetic Congo path, we know this. We know that when the king, the Congo king went in here and he converted to Christianity, he made Christianity the official religion of the land. That's not where the problem occurred, but he made the religion the official religion of the Congo kingdom. Okay? He had political reasons for doing so. So he thought, all right? His enemies had another agenda, all right? Another story. But he made the religion, he made Christianity an official religion. And automatically, there was people who went in here and was like, I'm not following this king. That's not the ancestral way. And what happened to those people? You got it. Here we are, over here. Okay? And that's the part they don't want you to understand. That's the part they don't want you to know, and they keep trying their best to clothe it and disguise it as much as they possibly can. You're over here because you followed the traditional ancestral way. And in order for you to go ahead, and if you want to go ahead and you want to, you want something new, you got to get rid of the old. Okay? You're over here because you followed the traditional ancestral way. Your ancestors followed the traditional ancestral way. That's the reason why you're over here. Okay? That's the reason why it does not matter. It does not matter what they did over there in Africa. Who cares what they did over there? Okay? Who cares? You know, I hate that narrative. I hate, and I know y'all been through this. As soon as you go in here and you want to do something, well, this is what they did in Africa. You know, oh, you know, you want to eat something. Oh, this is how they ate in Africa. This is what they did in Africa. This is that nonsense that came from the 70s. Who cares what they did in Africa? What they did in Africa works for the people in Africa. This is the reason why. When I kept telling you, my godfather, Papa, was going to hell. Oh my God, when he scolded me, I remember to this day. I remember like it happened yesterday. When he scolded me, he was scolding me about this. He kept saying, who cares? The people in Cuba, they was like, we don't care what they did in Africa. This is what we do in Cuba, because this is what has helped us to go ahead and survive oppression and slavery and everything. That's the reason why when you come across a Cuban person who's from the island and they practice the religion and everything, that's why they so strong about it, because they understand the richness of their history. That's the same way we're supposed to be. The stuff over in Africa works for the people in Africa. It doesn't work for us over here. That's the reason why we can't practice the religion like they practice it over there. We can't practice it over here the same way. We're dealing with a whole different kind of dynamics. But if we keep being mesmerized by this whole thing of this is what they did in Africa, if we keep being mesmerized by this, we're going to miss, and we're missing, but we're going to miss the blessings that our ancestors have been trying to give us for the longest, which is we're trying to get you to do something new and unheard of by focusing on the present and deal with us so we can go ahead and go to another future. But they keep romanticizing about what they did in Africa so that we never get off this plane, so that we stay in this same plane of existence. Okay? It's time for us to understand, and it's time for us to recognize our uniqueness. Our uniqueness is the fact that our ancestors did not do the same thing that they did in Africa. They did something. They wanted to follow the traditional way, which is the same reason why. Guess who is the biggest? Guess who the biggest people who follows, traditional African religion? Guess who they are? They exist in the Americas. They don't exist in the continent of Africa. Now understand. I don't have no disrespect for anybody. Okay, and I'm not disrespecting. I'm not trying to disrespect anybody. Especially, like I said, I got family. I got friends. I got good friends who are actually from the continent, who are first, second generation Africans who are living here, and I have respect for them, have love for them. Okay, and I'm not trying to go through the whole ADOS and FBA thing. I'm not going there, okay? Because I'm not really following that per se, all right? Nothing against it. I understand it, but I'm not following it per se because I'm dealing with ancestry, okay? And this is what they don't want you to focus on. They don't want you to focus on ancestry. Because if you focus on ancestry, you ignore all this other stuff. Now, like I was saying, our uniqueness is the fact that we don't do things the way they do it in Africa. We follow the ancestral way. That's the reason why they put us, that's the reason why they got rid of us. That's the reason why they shipped they enslaved our ancestors and put them on the boat and was like, okay, take them somewhere else, because we followed the ancestral way. And look at all the things that have come out because of us following the ancestral way. Look at all the inventions and the creations and all these other new art forms. This is not to take anything away from what other people have done and what people have done on the continent. Not to do any of that. Okay? All right. So don't get that twisted. please don't email me and message me about some nonsense about that, because that's not what we're focusing on. What I'm trying to get us to focus on is the fact that in order for you to go ahead and to have something, to do something new, you got to get away from looking at what they did in the past. The only thing we should be concerned about what they did in the past is how they went ahead and connected to their ancestors and be through with it. That's it. Okay? How they went ahead and they built the nation. They initially built the nation by going ahead and dealing with the ancestors. But they abandoned it. They abandoned their way. They abandoned the ancestor way. We stayed true. And this is our blessing. This is our uniqueness. And this is what the Woman King and Black Panther and all this is what they're trying to go ahead and they're skating around, and they don't want you to know. Okay? Because those of us who went ahead, and our ancestors, they were the ones who used the oracles. Our ancestors, they were the ones who was all about the whole ancestral magic. That's the reason why we keep doing it. And that's the reason why it just seeps out of our pores, because we're strong with it. Okay? So, I'm glad that this movie basically came out. Yeah, it's propaganda. But hopefully, it's going to get people to go ahead and see the ancestral way. All right? Because those of you who are on here, you know, once you embrace the ancestral way, oh my gosh, how powerful it is. It's going to make you, it boils in your blood. It makes your blood boil. You know, it makes you defiant against all this other stuff that's going on. It doesn't make you don't turn a blind eye. You turn a trick. Okay? I ain't talking to, I understand where I'm going with this. All right? And this is what they're trying to prevent you from doing. That's the reason why they keep coming out with all this other junk. Because they're trying to keep you back. They're trying to keep you afraid and fearful, and trying to prevent you from embracing who you really are and why you're here. So, I hope that makes sense. Okay? Those of you who know who I'm talking to, and you know, I'm hoping this resonates with you. I'm hoping you're getting it. Sit back and enjoy this thing. Sit back and enjoy this, because now folks are going to start coming to you. Folks are going to start coming to you and start asking, why do you do the thing you do? Okay? Folks are going to start coming to you. And when they do, you got to be ready. Because the other thing is, if you're not ready, the same people are going to try to go ahead and spin this, oh, I'm spiritual now, and this is what our spirituality deals with. They're going to try to go ahead and spin that nonsense too. All right? Okay, so like I said, hopefully that helped you. Hopefully that makes sense. Got any questions, suggestions, and comments? Y'all know what to do. Just go ahead and hit me up. Okay, until next time, head to poo.